This morning I want to share with you about when you're in the gap, when you're standing in the gap from, let's just say you are down and out, and then you know that God's got an answer over here, but you're standing in that gap. I read this morning and it encouraged me, and I want to encourage you, because sometimes standing in that gap, in that blackout moment in our lives, when we look and everything seems so bleak and dark, all the lights have gone out, and we wonder, how are we going to get through this or get to the other side? And this devotional that I was reading this morning, it talks about when you're in that gap and it feels like the gap is getting wider and wider. Seems like the situation is getting worse. Seems like things continue to fall apart even more rapidly. But I want you to listen to this. It says, in this gap, the odds won't seem in your favor. And how you react when it looks like there is more against you than more for you is crucial. This is the moment when the heat is being pressed against you so much that what's inside of us is going to ooze out. It's important when we're at this moment on how we act. He says, here you will be tempted to give up. Ever been there? Perception will always overrule reality when you look at the odds through the lens of why you feel outmatched. Do you ever feel outmatched in your situation? Do you feel like there is just no way I'm going to get through this, or I can overcome this, or I can overcome the person who is trying to take me out? And it says, you must forget the odds and refuse to concentrate on who or what is doing this to you. The destination isn't where you've been or even where you are right now. That is not the end result of your destination. The destination is where you're going, the plan that God has for you, the end place, the place that God is trying to get you to while going through this situation. The gap can make you restless, or it can be a rest stop along the way. You can lie down in defeat, or you can lie down in green pastures in Psalm 23:2. The enemy knows the odds, and he is betting against you. Make him regret ever placing that bet. And I want to read you the Message version of Romans 4:18. And here's what I want to say about this morning. I've been going through some things that's been going on for quite a bit. And when you come to the Lord, when you find your place in the morning, that's when I do this, and his scripture is followed up by devotion, wow. The message in the gap is what's so important. It says Romans 4:18, and this is the Message version. When everything was hopeless, Abraham believed anyway, deciding to live not on the basis of what he saw he couldn't do, but on what God said he would do. Now listen to that. Wherever you are, put yourself in that right now. When you're looking at this, you need to decide to live on the basis of not what you can't do, but what God said he would do in your life. It says, and so he was made father of a multitude of people. God himself said to him, you're going to have a big family, Abraham. And while I was reading this devotion, I'm doing my regular Bible reading in Isaiah. I'm going through the book of Isaiah, and I want you to listen to this scripture. I love how when you're going through a hard time, a dark time, and you're in the middle of the gap, when you desire God, when you set time aside to be with him and let him minister to you, he will minister to you like no one else can. Here's the scripture in Isaiah chapter 7, and he's talking, and I love what he says. He says in chapter 7, verse 9, he says this. And let me tell you what's happening. God was sending a message through Isaiah, and he was saying, thus saith the Lord, it shall not stand, nor shall it come to pass. But as you move down through here on the verse 9 in the last part, it says, if you will not believe, you surely shall not last. So what happened is that Isaiah was giving him the chance to ask God for anything. But he would not do it because he said he wouldn't test God. But here's what the commentary says as well. I love this portion here too. It says, God invited Ahaz to ask him for a sign to validate the prophecy, but the king answered with mock piety, I will not ask, I will not test the Lord. Isaiah's angry reaction shows that Ahaz's refusal was the result of his unbelief. Such lack of faith in God, in fact, would be Ahaz's downfall, for God made it clear, if you do not stand firm in your faith, then you will not stand at all. Think about where you are right now in this gap. Think about the devotion that I shared with you. Think about how that, it's not where you are, it's not where you've been, but it's the destination that God has for you. Think about how the enemy wants to make you think that you are outmatched, and it may look that way. Think about how the enemy is betting on you to quit instead of lying down in the green pastures that God has provided for you. And again, if you do not stand firm in your faith, then you will not stand at all. How about we stand today? How about we throw it all in? How about we place everything on God and our faith, and we recount the times, just like Abraham could, of all the times that God has shown up for us and shown off. Today, stand firm in your faith and let God do the rest.